Peace and light. Peace and light, peace and love, peace and power. Grand rising on all these amazing things, man. Come on in here. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go. Let's get this work. Come on in here. Come on. Let's go, let's go. You know what to do when you get here. Come on, come on. Welcome to Magick Up TV. I am your host, Seven The Alchemist. Here's where we talk about love, we talk about law, we talk about all things. There's nothing off the table, you understand? And here's what we say. Life is easy. We make it hard. You know what to do when you get here. Hit the love button, hit the share button. Let somebody know that the alchemist is in the building. It's been a great weekend, man. It's been an amazing, amazing weekend. You know, life is good. Life is good. Even when you don't think life is good, life is grand. Life is amazing. And there's this saying. And the saying goes, a lot of times in life, when we are at our most problematic state, it is very difficult. It is very difficult to see the algorithm of salvation. It's very difficult to see the algorithm of salvation. And so oftentimes when we're in this really, really dark place, or when we're in this amazingly challenging place in life, that thing could be so challenging. That thing could be so, you understand? That you're so focused on what you're feeling that you can't see what is happening. Okay? Oftentimes, when things are shifting, you understand? When things are shifting, there's a place of uncomfortability. And you could have been comfortable for a while, or, you know, you could find yourself always going through this shift. But there's something that you've been asking for that needed to take place in such a way that it left you in this, what seemed to be a valley, for a very long time. And that journey can seem daunting. That journey can seem, you know, monotonous. Like, man, like, oh my God, this is not my life. I can't believe I'm going through this, and it's day after day after day after day after day after day after day. But you have no idea what's being worked out. And there's only but so far, you can go into a problematic situation. There's only but so far. The midpoint of that is transformation. The issue with the journey is that most journeys don't come with maps. You know what I'm saying? Most journeys don't come with maps. And so you never know where you are on the journey, right? Like, you never know. You think for just a second, man, I got it all figured out. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, a gust of wind comes and carries your ass across the field. You got the world's largest sundress on, and it just carries you away, right? And that's how life is. But the beautiful thing about that, peace, beloveds, I see you. Share this message. Make sure you know somebody knows that what's going on is going on. Listen, the beautiful thing about that wind is that if you've got a sail, S-A-I-L, if you have a sail, that thing will blow you over the most beautiful waters. Sometimes what seems to be the most problematic situation ends up being the most beautiful moment of transformation, the most beautiful moment, you know what I'm saying, of eloquence. Like, I mean, that moment is oftentimes the most defining moment in life. It's that moment that you realize this, or that moment that calls you out of that, and it thrusts you into that position or that place that's been waiting for you. Prime example. You know, I started hanging out at this place. It wasn't like a bar or nothing like that. It was like a little savvy corner store situation. And, you know, I sit there and I talk to the guys, and I sip some wine and talk to the guys, you know what I'm saying? And we just sitting there talking. Or I drink a beer and we talking to, you know, sitting there talking. And then that situation, because of that situation, I was able to come up with the production for the comedy show. All right. Now, all the while, stuff is going on in life. You understand? Craziness is going on. Craziness is going on. Long story short, that little brothers meeting turned into a comedy production, right? It turned into me producing my comedy show. That comedy show, I ended up sending a flyer to a guy by the name of Jermaine. Jermaine used to be the manager over at Fin and Feathers. Jermaine knows everybody. I sent Jermaine a flyer for the comedy show. Short story shorter, I ended up hiring Jermaine to be the VP of operations for my entertainment company. And in the past, maybe month and a half, 2 months, my company has grown by almost 20 people. My company has grown by almost 20 people. The music company has entered into a corporate partnership with a school by the name of SAE. It's an international school for sound, audio, and engineering. Like, when I tell you the things that have taken place, right? But it took place in the darkness. You just have to be focused enough to stay on path. You just got to be focused enough to stay on course. That journey that takes us through the forest, a lot of times you can't see the forest for the trees. You can't appreciate the journey. You can't appreciate where you are. You cannot appreciate where you are right now in the season of your life because of what it looks like. So many people are not putting value on their transformation because of what it looks like. That transformation is going to lead you into the next days of tomorrow. You understand? These are the beautiful days of tomorrow. Everybody wants to talk about yesterday like it's, people glorify the yesterdays, but when they're living it as today, it ain't much glorifying. Oh, it ain't much glory at all, is it? Oh, no. Oh, that shit hard. It's nothing but complaints, right? It's nothing but complaints, entitlement. Oh, the entitlement is crazy. Like, what made you think that you should be at a certain place? What made you think that? That's only your mind saying it. That's only your mind doing it. There was no blue book that said by this time this is where you're supposed to be. This is what's supposed to happen. Blah, blah, blah. Everybody's journey is different. You can't even look at your journey and look at somebody else's journey and compare them. Why? Man, they're so opposite. They're so different. Those algorithms are nothing alike. No matter, even if you were born out of the same mom, even if you were born into the same house, your journeys are not the same. You can't look at somebody's life and idolize it. You never know what's going to happen with that. And you can't look at what you got going on and then depreciate it. That's one of the most dangerous things you can do, is depreciate what you've got going on. You don't know where it's going to lead you. Your job is to live that. The best that you could live it with the fullest of intent and love in your heart. You have no idea where it's going to lead you. And the more appreciative you are, this is your journey. You put yourself on this journey. To not appreciate it, it would be sacrilegious. We give other things more reverence than our own journey, our own energy, our own power. We give so much more reverence. You give God more reverence than you give yourself. Why is that? Because you haven't found that sync yet. Once you find that sync, you realize it's one and the same. The way you treat yourself is the way you treat God. The way you see yourself is the way you see God. Ooh, 7. I think you said something, bruh. Yeah. The way you see yourself is the way you see God. Yeah, that one kind of hitting me too. You never know who you're going to affect along this journey. You might have said to yourself, I want to be at point B by December, right? But there may have been a person that you needed to affect. There may be somebody that nobody else on the planet really would have such influence. Nobody on the planet would have had, you understand, such connection, such influence, but you. And this individual needs to hear from you so bad that the winds of your life is shifting to ensure that you meet this person. Or that person you may need something from that particular person so bad that everything in your life alters itself for that meeting. Those are those divine meetings that people talk about. It's a divine meeting. Why? Because everything had to be in alignment for it to take place. You just never know. You never know. I've seen a lot over the past 7 days, those who have nearly lost lives. But because of one decision that they made, because of one thing that was done, their life was spared. This weekend, at least three. A lot of times when we're involved in something that is still in our focus, that's still in our consciousness, you understand? That's a dangerous place to be, because when you're not focused, you can't see. And when you can't see, that equilibrium is off. You understand? And when your equilibrium is off, that judgment is off. So if you don't understand where you are, like if you imagine you wake up and you don't know where you at. You're like, oh. That's what most people are like. That's what most people are like. This is what they're fighting against in reference to circumstance, because in their conscious mind, right, they did nothing wrong to get where they are, or they don't have any accountability to get where to being where they are. They don't understand where they are. They don't understand the choices that they made that put them where they are. And that's like waking up out of a dream into a place and not understanding where you are. Because not knowing how you got where you at is hard. It's much harder to get out of that situation if you're not recognizing what got you in that situation in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? If nothing is ever your fault, if you never are accountable to anything that's going on in your life, then how can you journey back to a place of normality, or how can you come out of the fire? If you don't know what fire is, if you don't know how you got there, if all you got is complaints and entitlement, then how do you get out of what you're in? You have to come to the knowledge. You have to take a deep breath. You know what? I did this. I did this. I did this. Now, once you've taken that, look around. A lot of people are afraid to, number one, make a mistake. That's number one. A lot of people are afraid to make a mistake. Number two, it's hard for a lot of people to acknowledge that a mistake has been made. And I hate the word mistake because nothing is ever a mistake. And I'll get to that in a second. But you understand? To not take accountability to what's going on, then how can you rightfully or consciously walk out the forest? Those people are normally left right there in the forest, just circling around 40 days and 40 nights, 40 years. You know what I'm saying? That number 40, scripturally it was a great number. It was just a great number. You understand? You can't take everything so figuratively. So literally. That number 40 was a great number. So to say that, man, they've been traveling for 40 years, that's like, man, it's been like 1,000,000 years since we've been out here. It's figurative. It's to express the length, and how the writer felt about how long it was. When you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, when you're not in alignment, man, that creator, the universe, God, will have you circling. And most people, here's where you find angry people. Most people don't take accountability for that circle, so they continue to circle, because only until you become accountable can you break that cycle. You understand? So if you haven't broken that cycle and you're continuing, what that's doing is that's putting you at a place of observation but not accountability. So you're watching other people. You're watching life go on. You're watching all of the seasons, but you're not able to participate in it. You're not allowed off the track. So those people find themselves, you know what I'm saying? They end up being watchers. They end up being the naysayers. They end up being the haters. They end up being the crabs in the bucket. You understand? Because to understand that you're in a forest, there are going to be trees. Hear what I'm saying? A lot of this pressure that we have, a lot of this stress that we have, you wouldn't have it if you realized you were in a forest. Seven, this job. Oh my God, the job. My job. It's a job, baby. It's a job. You're not under, come closer. I ain't gonna bite you. Come closer. I'm not gonna yell. Come closer. A job is not recreation. It's forcible employment. You understand? Your job is to find something that aligns with your passion. If you cannot find something that aligns with your passion, let me share with you an activity that will really, really help you in life. You understand? When things get really, really hard, but you put yourself there. Let me share with you an activity. It's a very archaic activity. One that I found helped me a lot. It really helped me a lot when I started doing things either A, I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing, or B, I knew that this is just, you know what I'm saying, the season. Let me share with you. It's an activity, okay? It's called Shut the Fuck Up. Shut it up and just do it. Some seasons of life, you just gotta do it. You gotta do the work. You gotta play the part. You gotta take the walk. Because if you don't take the walk, you'll be stuck right there. The forest ain't going nowhere. Life is not going anywhere. Employment is not going anywhere. The bills are not going anywhere. So for you to be in a tizzy all the time about your job, for you to be in a tizzy all the time about the bills, all the time about, like, you're doing this to yourself. Because the moment that you realize you're in the water, you'll go, like people don't realize they're in the water, like, is them trying to this is them trying to save themselves. They don't realize they're in water. But the moment you realize you're in water, you realize something. Here's the thing. Once you realize where you are, you have to now either observe the properties in which the circumstance is centered around, or you become a victim of circumstance. What do you mean by that, Seven? If we're in water, we can't walk. And if we're on dry land, we're not swimming. That sounds like that's an idiot thing to say, of course, Seven. But believe it or not, most of you are participating in that type of activity. You're swimming on ground. You're doing all of this, and all you got to do is just walk. Or some of you in the water trying to walk. No. First off, calm down. Some of you, life seems so like this. It's so like this. It's so like this. You can't even take a breath. But it's only because of the program. The program has got you to believe that you can't take a breath. You actually can. Watch. You can do it with me. Do it with me. Ready? Take a breath. Let it out. Felt good, right? Do it again. Do it again. One more. Take a breath. And let it out. The program wants you to believe you don't even have time for that. You understand? But once you realize where you are, now you can do something about it. Oh shit, I'm in water. Let me calm down and get my strokes right. Because all of this panic out here in this water, I'm going to tire myself out and I'm going to drown. You understand? You out there in the forest and you trying to run. You trying to sprint through the forest. Yo, slow down. You going to run into a tree. Slow down. It ain't the track. It's the forest. You don't have to run so fast. Just pay attention. And for those that are trying to run through the forest, you're going to beat them every time. Why? Because they're going to hit something. I'm beating you. I'm beating you. We not on the track. We in the forest. Bow. Wait for me. Wait. No. No, see? You was trying to run, Betty. I told you, pace yourself, but keep your head up. You down there just, bow. And then you want to cry about it. Then you want to be, Seven, I ran into a tree. What you was running for? I thought it was a monster behind me, and it was dark, and I heard something moving, and I was like, oh, I better run, and I just took off. The monster's in your mind. The monster is in your mind, baby. The monster is in your mind, King. You know what I'm saying? The monster's in your mind. Half that stuff we consuming ourselves, you know what I'm saying, mentally ain't gonna happen. Half of it is not gonna happen. And in your mind, you're like, well, I'm just preparing myself. Why? Why are you doing all of that? Pick up your bag and just keep walking. But Seven, I don't move as fast as everybody. It's not a race. This is survival. It's not a race. It's not about who gets there first. Because where is there? You're just trying to get out the forest. But in the forest is wisdom. You are surrounded by all of these trees that have stood tall for centuries, for decades. You are surrounded by trees in your life, people with infinite knowledge and wisdom, people who have been through the shits and shittery. You won't allow yourself to talk to them. Your pride, you know what I'm saying? You're so proud. You out there in the woods with nothing to eat. You out there in the forest with nothing to eat. You know what I'm saying? You're just like, the Lord will provide. Look at all the berries. You got people right now. You understand? You got a business model. You got something. You've got children you need help with. You got something going on where there's people that are planted around you that all you have to do is just open your mouth one time. Be like, hey, Rebecca, let me ask you a question. Hey, Tamika, let me ask you a question. Malcolm, let me ask you a question. All that weight you've been carrying through the woods, you just rounding about with all that weight on your shoulder. Realize, first off, once you come out the forest, all that stuff not even needed. Do you realize that there are certain things for you to consume now while you're in the forest? But once you get out of it, all of that stuff you can leave in the forest. You don't even need it. So much of that stuff that our ancestors learned was for their forest. It was for that forest. It was for that campsite. It wasn't for ours. And we trying to hold on to that old stuff. We trying to do it like they did it at their camp, and it's not working in our camp, and we not realizing that ain't for our camp. That ain't for our camp. You can't do the same thing in the forest when it's raining as you can do when it's dry. You got to know your seasons. You got to start understanding the seasons. Some seasons, you understand? Some seasons are meant for you to observe. Just observe. You walking around cataloging. Oh, that's a mighty python right there. Huh? Okay. Yeah, look at that. All right. Oh, what is that? Oh, I think that's an African cave spider. That's an African cave spider. I got that. All right. All right. You start cataloging all these things around you because you're going to need it. Why do you think you can pinpoint, if you really sat down and wrote out the characteristics of the 5 friends that you hang out with the most, right? They're not the same. They're not the same. The interest might be, you know what I mean? But they're not the same. And you start writing it down and you start realizing, oh, wait, I'm weak in that area. I see how we became friends. Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? They probably need my advice on that one. They're a little weak in that area. I'm real strong right there. I could probably do that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, wait a minute. I'm really having an issue here, but I feel like they could really help me with that. Now, you understand? You got half a blueprint. Or should I say, you got schematics. You got a map of the forest. That's a map of the forest. How so? Because all you got to do is keep walking and survive. A lot of people feel like they got to figure the answer out in the forest. No, you just got to get out the forest. You don't have to figure it out while you're in the forest. You just got to make it out the forest. Well, Seven, how you make it out the forest if you're not figuring it out? You walk. You just keep walking. You keep walking, keep cataloging. Keep walking, keep cataloging. You just don't understand that yet because you either walking and not cataloging or you cataloging and not walking. But the two got to go together because if you stop walking, you never make it out. And if you keep walking without cataloging, by the time you make it out, you don't realize what you got. The forest is designed, it's the human cocoon. Right? It's that place of transformation, like a butterfly. You mean to tell me this caterpillar been a caterpillar since it caterpillared, and all of a sudden one day it became a butterfly? How? It didn't become a butterfly in a day. It took that time of transformation. And in that time of transformation, nobody saw it. Some of y'all are so concerned with people seeing you. Some of y'all are so concerned with being outside in your moment of transformation. That's not where you're supposed to be. You're in the forest. Stay in the forest. You're in the forest. Be in the forest. Appreciate the forest. Do what forest people do. So when you do come out the forest, man, you're in so much of a different perspective. You're more focused. You're more grateful. You've learned how to balance certain energy. You learn how to not overexhaust yourself. You've learned how to retain energy. You've learned how to build. You've learned how to stand in the rain and not get wet. You learn the properties of the earth and how, you understand, to survive off of such. And it may sound trivial, but once you start understanding the properties of the forest, you understand, you start to see yourself in the trees. You start to see yourself in the grass. You start to realize, wait a minute, I am the trees. I am the problem that I created. I am also the solution. If it came through me, then it comes by me. I either have to keep walking or pitch this tent. And this is where I'm going to be for the night. Either way, I got to make good consciousness of it. I got to be in good consciousness of it. You understand? Because if not, I'm going to make a bad decision. You understand? If I'm so frustrated by the situation, yet I still stay walking, I'm not going to be observant. So the predators that are out there, they see me, they smell me. They can see me coming. I'm not even looking now. I'm looking down. I'm so distraught. I'm trying to figure it out. Oh, what is going on? That's how we sound. But the moment we realize we're in the forest, we got it. You know what? I'm going to pinch the tit tonight. I'm going to chill. I'm going to rest up. My feet tired. I'm going to get about 4 or 5 hours. I'm going to get up tomorrow. I'm going to put that pack on my back. And I'm going to take this mountaintop. I'm going to really go for it. So because I know I'm going for the mountain in the morning, I'm going to massage my feet. Put some oil on it. Get a fresh pack of socks out. You see what I'm saying? Once you realize where you are, now you can address the situation a little differently. Now you can prepare for those next few steps. But if you're running, you're always tired. You're smacking into the trees. Now, because you're smacking into the trees, you're cursing the trees out, right? Oh, man, fucking tree. Man, if it wasn't for these trees, I'd already been in the highway. All these trees. Not understanding. You don't even understand what's going on outside the forest. There could be a whole situation going on outside the forest that you don't need to be dealing with. And you cursing the forest now. You're like, oh man, fuck these trees. I don't see half shit. I am shit. Hey, trees. And then the natives are going through it right now because it's a drought. It's hot. They don't have no vegetation. It's pavement. You understand? And what that symbolizes is that your journey isn't someone else's journey. You could be going through it right now, and the person next to you is not. And that's okay. Don't hate them for not going through the forest while you going through the forest. Have them do a helo drop. Y'all got, like, when you realize that you're going through the forest, right? A lot of times when we realize that other people are not, we'll have disdain in our heart. We'll have hate in our heart. Don't do that. If you feel like you're in need of something, that's your moment to say it. Hey, I need a box of tissues down here. I need a box of tissues. Can somebody send me a box of tissues? All of a sudden, the helo come and they drop box of tissues right there in the forest. Appreciate that. Most of y'all are trying to, the reason why most can't get help when they need it is because you're trying to get somebody to pull you out the forest. That's way too complicated of a situation for them to be able to tackle. You asking for, no, just ask for some tissue. Just ask for some water. Just ask for provision. You asking for salvation. But that's been pumped in your head and pumped in your head and pumped in your head. That's too much of a situation to have happen. Stop needing salvation. You don't need salvation. You need water. You need food. You need shelter. You need intellect. You don't need salvation. What is salvation? Salvation is the conscious mind that has awakened in a circumstance that has allowed himself to realize or herself to realize that I am accountable for where I'm at in this narrative, and I also have the wherewithal to get myself out of this, even if it's not alone. And the fact that I know that, now the knowledge of it has to create. Do you understand? The knowledge of something has to create. You are either creating a solution or you're creating more of a problem. You understand that? If you're in the middle of the forest and you're like, oh man, I ain't gonna make it. Oh God. Why, God? Why? Why would you even let me in the forest? I didn't even know I was in here. I didn't know I was in the forest. All you're going to do is shut down. You'll never go. You'll never leave, right? Then some people will be like, oh my God, the forest, I don't want to be here. And they'll turn around and try to run back. You're trying to run back? Why are you trying to run back? And in trying to run back, the forest never ends. Because that's the reason you're in the forest in the first place. Some of y'all have been entertaining a relationship that you know ain't no good for you. You know that. You woke up in the forest. Oh, I get it now. This isn't good for me. But instead of you planning the exit, instead of you know what I'm saying, pitching your tent, gathering up nutrients, you know what I mean, and then packing up the next day and making headway, instead you wallow. I don't want to be in the forest. I don't understand why I'm in the forest. And then you want to go back. Like, I shouldn't be in the forest. Let me out the forest. Instead of running forward, instead of running towards the solution, you're trying to fix the problem. Like, the two are not the same all the time. Hear what I just said. Instead of running towards the solution, instead of, you know what I'm saying, gearing toward the solution, you're trying to fix the problem. And the problem is the problem because it's the problem. Some problems you don't need to fix. Just leave it alone. You know who taught me that? You know who taught me that? Moana. I think it was Moana. I think that was Moana, if I'm not mistaken. It was the mountain and, was it Moana? You're welcome. That whole situation where the mountain, like somebody from her tribe took the heart of the mountain, and now the monster of the mountain has been clobbering her people. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, oh my God, we got to defeat the mountain. We got to defeat the mountain. And Moana say, For what? Just give it back to heart. Like, just give it what it wants. What you doing all this fighting for? What are you doing all this fighting for? Some of y'all want the smoke. Some of y'all are so hell-bent on one. Oh, my God. You just got to prove over and over and over that you're the shit. You just got to keep proving it. And that need to keep proving things, keep putting you in situations that end up being in the forest. Seven, you know what? You right. I be doing that. I know you be doing that. I don't know why I do it. I know why you do it. You have a constant need for validation. That constant need for validation continues to put you in problematic situations and circumstances, forcing you to always have to, you understand, utilize this enormous amount of strength or this enormous amount of magic, this enormous amount of energy. You don't always have to do that. When you're in alignment, you understand, things just flow. But if it's not flowing, that's not to say that it's not alignment. You could be in the forest. You understand what I'm saying? You could be in the forest. Learn to appreciate. Appreciate where you are. Appreciate it. The other day I was like, man, right? And I was frustrated. And then I came outside, man. It was blistering cold. It was blistering. I saw all these people on the sidewalk. I saw all these homeless people. And I thought about what I was going through. And I realized that I didn't have no problem. I ain't got no problem. I might be frustrated. And I want y'all to understand that too. Like, I was talking to a sister, right? And the sister was like, yeah, King, you know, like, I heard the live you was doing about the fellas and the fathers, da da da. She was like, you know, I'm so upset. I'm so upset. And, you know, da 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 da. I'm so upset. You know, y'all brothers need more love. I'm so upset. Da da da. I said, Queen, like, listen, beloved. Whenever you heard me say I'm upset, I say I'm frustrated. I might say I'm frustrated, you know, from people not doing this. I might be frustrated from what I see in my observation, but you don't hear me say I'm upset. Why? You can't be upset. You gotta take some time and really observe. I don't get upset unless you've done something to me, right? And then now I got the power of choice as to how I'm going to handle that situation. But I'm not going to allow the outside world to upset me, disappoint. I might get upset with myself, but I'm not going to allow the outside world to upset me. That's the forest. You understand? When you say, Seven, you can't see the forest for the trees, what do you mean? I mean, a lot of times you're allowing the outside world to affect you way too much. You're allowing these problems to be problems way too much. They're really not problems. They're only winds. They're only trees. Take a moment. Look at that situation and break it down. What is it? What is it communicating? What is this moment communicating? Case in point, last night I decided I was going to go hang out. You know, I'm an artist. I need to, you know, I'm outside, right? I hang out, build with other artists. And I decided I'll go to Albar. Okay? But before going into the spot, I said, I'm going to go to the store real quick. I was right there at the line. I was right there. And I said, you know what? No. You got to follow your first mind. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the store real quick. Not realizing how the store could have saved my life. How going to the store in that moment could have saved my life. Because as I'm walking A car, right where I was at, literally right where I was, on the same block, a car speeds down the street, hits a bunch of other cars, and flips over. While that's happening, people are jumping him, beating him up. He pulls a gun, pop, pop, starts shooting. Bullets have no, you know what I mean, navigation. And that happens quite often. And so when you're in these situations, when you're going through the forest, you got to stop for a second and look around and ask yourself what's going on. Okay, all right, let's see. You know what? I did, not to say that I was questioning my force field, not to say that, you know, I was questioning my level of protection. Not to say that. But from, you know, in that moment, I cannot lie. There were some things that were going on that day that had me very anxious. I was very anxious. I was really, really excited to get to the studio. Things wasn't moving as fast as I wanted it to move yesterday. And I was getting anxious. And in my mind, you know what I'm saying? Right? And I had a little human moment. That moment reminded me. Listen, calm down, bro. I got it. I told you I got it. I got it. You all have to trust. You got to trust your guides more. You got to trust your navigation. You out there in the forest with the navigation. You bought the navigation. You picked it out. You packed it up. You put it in your pocket. And when you took that trip and woke up in the forest, you woke up with a Navi system. You woke up with a compass. You got to trust your machine more. You got to trust your systems more. You got to trust yourself more. You got to trust it. You got to trust it. This world and everything that we're going through is coded. Man, I'm trying to tell y'all, listen. So the meeting at Savvy turned into a comedic production that turned into my music company growing exponentially within a matter of 30 days, which grew into a corporate partnership with an international institute, which has now grown into Digit coming back outside, the music expanding, artists from all over the country. I got platinum producers showing up. This thing has just why? Because I said, you know what? I appreciate the forest, and I'll be here until I'm not. I didn't pitch a tent. I just pulled out a Snicker bar and started skipping. Fuck these trees. You know what I'm saying? I love them. I love these trees. Hey, I'm going to name that tree Tiffany. I'm going to name that tree Bob. I'm going to name that tree Michael. I'm going to name that tree Michelle. I started naming my issues. Some of y'all, your issues are so heavy, you ain't even gave it a name. You trying to handle everything at one time. I told my staff, I said, listen, this was back in September when they first came on board, September 22nd. I told Jay, I said, listen, bro, I got a side of me I'm not ready to show you. Like, they didn't know necessarily Digit. They knew Seven, but they wasn't necessarily privy to Digit, right? So I said, listen, I'm not going to show you the monster yet. I'm not going to bring him out. We need to focus on this, and this first, right? I waited until my birthday. I was like, when my birthday come, that's it. It's going to be all me. It's a me season. It is a me season. But I got to set it up first, because once it becomes about me, I got to make sure that everything else is taken care of and is flowing in a natural progression. You understand? That's what I'm talking about when you wake up in the forest and you can appreciate the trees. You got to know what you're dealing with, right? So I set it up. And then last week, at the artist showcase. Nobody knew that I was performing other than the DJ. And when I let loose in front of a sea of people that really could do something for my career. But I already had it set up that way. Now there was no going back. The activity that took place for a lot of you, you're so afraid to come out the tent. You in the forest. You hear the shit going on. You hear the birds. You hear the bears. You hear all of that. Ain't no need to be afraid. You there. They either gonna come in the tent and get you, or you got to go out and get it. You got to go out and just be a part of your surrounding. Some of you are so afraid of being a part of your surrounding, the blessings can't make it to you. You want to be a business person, but you ain't going to no network functions. You ain't coming out the house at all, really. To my 7, I'm just manifesting. I'm doing like you. No, you're not. There's visualization, there's manifestation, and then the work. I would have never known the outcome had I not set it up the way that I did. Once I got off stage, Jay comes up to me, oh my God, bro, listen, hold on, wait a minute. I understand you now. I said, what do you mean? I understand why you didn't lead with Digit. If you would have led with Digit, we wouldn't have gotten nothing else done. There would have been no organization. There would have been none of it, because he's hyped now. He's ready to move. He's ready to get it. He's gone. He's through the roof. Now I don't have to work so hard because someone else. Some of you don't want to let go of the work. Some of you don't want to let go, but you complaining every day about how hard this is. Oh my God, I'm trying to pull it, 7. It just won't come. Let it go. Let it go. It's not needed. Some things are not needed. Some of you are lugging around so much, you know what I mean? Let somebody else carry it. Some of you, I don't know what to do. Hey, come here for a second. Come here. Cheryl, Tamika, come here for a second. Yeah, no. Put that down. Come here. Hey, you see what I'm holding? Here, grab this real quick. No. I know it's mine. I know it's pretty. It's nice, right? I know. You ain't think I was going to let nobody hold it. It's okay. Come here real quick. Hold that. Hold it. You got it? You got it? You see that right there? That right there is one of the most powerful things you could ever do. Let go. Let go. I set these businesses up and I put these people in position. When we was at that showcase, nobody knew who was in charge. Meaning that everybody was at a place of professionalism and tacklement. No, that's not a word. But they was tackling their shit. They was tackling. They was on it. They was tackling it. So the tacklement, you know what I'm saying? They was on it. So much so. See, some of us are so hell-bent on getting the shine that we can't let other people shine, so we can't get the job done. The job is asking to get done. And you tired. But all you're doing is complaining about how tired you are, but you don't want to let go. You can't see the forest for the trees. That's what I mean. Some of you moms, you complain every day, oh my God, I don't have no help. You done got 4 phone calls over the last 2 days. Tell me, let me take them kids over here. Let me do this right here. Let me do this right there. And you're like, And then you want to complain. We create the hell that we exist in. We create it. No, I don't, 7. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I told his sister the other day, I said, look, half your problem is you don't want to come outside. And she was like, that's not true. I do come outside. Okay. About 2 weeks later, you know what, 7? You was right. You was right. I'm way too confined. I know. I know. And I'm trying to tell y'all that I know. I'm trying to tell you that I understand. But I'm also trying to communicate that it's okay. I want you to understand that it's okay to be in the forest. I want you to understand that it's okay to be in the midst of the trees. It is okay to be lost sometimes. It's okay. As long as you are willing to say it. As long as you're willing to accept it. Because as long as you're willing to accept it, we can move forward. If you can't accept that you lost, you'll be lost forever. Did you walk by faith? Always. Always. But faith ain't just faith. Faith is knowledge. Faith is knowledge. Faith... I talked about that in several other videos. I ain't gonna touch that. Faith is not blind. Faith is observant. It is calculated. It is by design. To not know what your desired outcome, to not know your desired outcome, to not know your desired outcome is to wander. You understand? If you don't have a desired outcome, I'm not talking about what it ends up being. You ain't got no control over that. But you do have somewhat control. If you know the desired outcome, then you can put forth the energy required for that outcome. But if you don't have no idea of what the outcome could possibly be, then how would you know what to do? How would you know what's supposed to take place? How would you know? What do you mean, Seven? Okay, if my desired outcome is to get across town, then if I'm active in the desired outcome, I am properly planning it, or I am mapping it. You know what I'm saying? I'm mapping my way. I'm observant to the process. I'm observant to the process. What they want you to believe in reference to faith is a non-observant characteristic to this miraculous resolve. What do you mean? What do you mean? You mean I'm just do nothing and just don't prepare, don't do nothing, just sit and wait and hope and dream and wish and wait, don't do nothing? No. You got to be prepared. Serendipity will absolutely show herself, and if you're not prepared, if all you've been doing is just sitting and waiting on the Lord, once you really start living out these narratives, you start to understand where they come from. Not necessarily that they're verbalized in a way that you know creates power, but you can start to understand where it came from. Waiting on the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. I think it's a detriment to people without understanding the truth of it, without understanding, you know, the proper nature behind the context. Just saying it and not understanding doesn't deliver you to the desired outcome. But no one tells us that then. No one tells you that then. But this is why I say life is easy. We make it hard. I love y'all, family. Peace to man, woman, and child, and all things that walk the earth. As above, so below, may all things be balanced and well alignment. Do I as I send this love and light back to each and every one of y'all. Make sure you share the message. I am Seven The Alchemist. You've been watching Magick Up TV.